You have come a long way. It's like you're Neo in The Matrix when he was fighting Agent Smith for that first time. You remember? Trinity was like, "What's he doing?" And Morpheus responds with, "He's beginning to believe." You are in that position. You're beginning to believe in your storytelling abilities. You have an idea worth shooting. You've anchored it in a genre with a cool premise. You've crafted a powerful theme for a specific hero, and you have a formidable antagonist to bring about change in your hero's life and help the audience experience theme. And then now you're considering other plot tools, right? Like obstacles. So now it's time to bring all of that down to a DNA level. It's time to make sure your story is working. It's time to craft your title and your logline. Your title and logline are used for various things. One, for example, if you were telling a friend right now, "Hey, I'm making a movie," and they're like, "Hey, cool, what's it about?" Well, the next words out of your mouth, the title and the logline, should make them want to watch your film. A fast forward to later on in your career, maybe you're going after money from an investor. The title and logline might be the gatekeeper for them even being interested. But more importantly, or more important than all of that, the title and logline help you understand your movie. So let's get to it. Let's talk about the logline first, the DNA of your film. A logline is your story distilled down into a single sentence, maybe two. Albert Einstein said this. He said, "If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough." And that is so true with filmmaking and so true with storytelling. If you can't write a logline for your story, it either means you don't understand it well enough or your story isn't working and you've got to fix that. And you want to fix it before you write a script and shoot it. So as amazing as your idea and premise might be, you've got to make them work at a DNA level. It's this crazy fact about our world, right? About the universe. Everything that's huge is made up of things that are very small. And if those small things don't work, the big things don't work. And I'm telling you, that applies to your script like nothing else. So how do you do it? How do you craft a logline? Well, a logline needs to cover three basic things: who, the goal, and the obstacle. And it's also good if a logline has irony. Here's an example logline for Die Hard from Blake Schneider's book called Save the Cat. A cop comes to LA to visit his estranged wife, and her office is taken over by terrorists. That tells the who, the goal, and the obstacle, and it has irony, right? And it's all in one sentence. Do you see how amazing that is? Also notice that we didn't use any character names, and you can also describe your hero a little more if you want to give people an idea, like maybe call him a bullheaded cop, something like that. Sometimes you need to set up your world with a logline. Take Minority Report, for example. Amazing film. But if you don't tell someone in the logline that it takes place in a future society where criminals are arrested before their crimes are committed, then the logline might sound boring. It might just sound like this: a cop convicted of murder goes on the run to prove his innocence. John Robert Marlowe gives a better example of a logline for Minority Report. In a society where criminals are arrested before their crimes are committed, a cop convicted of a future murder goes on the run to prove his innocence. See how including a bit of premise changed everything? Suddenly, the same logline makes you really want to see that movie a whole lot more. And it's loaded with irony. So, title and logline, as I briefly mentioned, are used for pitching. You'll use these in Hollywood if you're going after money or talking to a studio. They're going to read your title and your logline first, often. I'm not saying this is how it always goes. But if your title and logline don't hook someone, the chances of them reading a long feature-length script drop dramatically. So in that example that we just saw with Minority Report, the vanilla logline would not make anyone with money want to read your script. But the other one, suddenly people are interested. They're like, wow, this is a great idea. And with loglines, you can only have the essentials of your story. Going back to Minority Report, There is a lot happening in that film that is not in the logline, as good as that logline was. For example, it doesn't talk about Agatha and her brothers who make up the precogs. It doesn't talk about Chief John Anderton's missing son, his broken marriage. And I mean, there are huge parts of the film that aren't in the logline, and that's just part of it. Bringing it down to a DNA level, bringing your story down to the smallest part, you can't have all of those things. I can't say this enough about a logline, and this is about it helping you primarily versus pitching. A working logline can save you so much work because it's way better to find out your story has an issue now than later. So logline is plot, right? But I think when you combine a logline with your theme and then run all of your story ideas through that, it's going to make your movie work on a plot level, and it's going to keep it all about one thing. And I'm telling you, running through these two filters will save you lots of work, or save you bitter tears in editorial if you shoot it and only then find out that there's problems. So that's logline in a nutshell. We're going to talk about it more in a second, but now let's first talk about title. The title of your film is also extremely important. A title combined with a logline should be that 1-2 punch that tells it all. Think about some classic titles: Castaway, Jaws, The Last Samurai, Legally Blonde, Die Hard, The Dark Knight. These titles, they also play a large role in telling what the story is about. I mean, Legally Blonde is an obvious win, right? But think about The Dark Knight. So Bruce Wayne wanted to remove himself from the role of fixing Gotham City. He wanted a white knight in the form of Harvey Dent to take his place. But the story was all about Batman being forced to bear the weight of his role in saving Gotham. He, and he alone, was the Dark Knight who had to ride in to save the day when the city's white knight turned bad. So the Dark Knight it's an incredible title that tells us literally what this entire film is about. So think about what title you can have for your film and how you can distill things down even further with your title. And then how that combined with your logline can be a great 1-2 punch when you're pitching your movie. Now let's get practical. Let's look at a couple models for crafting a logline for your story. Here's one from Blake Snyder's Save the Cat Strikes Back. When something big happens, a specific hero must plot goal, or else antagonist will, this happens, stakes. Let's try that on a classic movie, Star Wars. When a hidden message for a Jedi Knight is discovered by an adventure-seeking farm boy, he must join the Jedi to save a princess and fight an evil empire before the entire galaxy is at the mercy of their new planet-destroying weapon. Okay, that was quite the mouthful. So I think I'm including too much information. Let's dial it back and just focus on who, goal, and obstacle. I'm not saying Blake's model isn't great, but I think I was putting too much in there. Let's do it this way. An adventure-seeking farm boy discovers and joins a rebellion to save the galaxy from a sinister empire with a planet-destroying weapon. There it is. That's Star Wars condensed down, and you could probably do it even better. I mean, that might not be what George Lucas would write, but you get the idea. It gives us a basic sense of the movie, of the story. And there's even a hint of irony. You want adventure? Welcome to blowing up the Death Star, right? So your logline will guide you. It'll keep you on track for the rest of the writing process, and it'll help you when you pitch your film. Let's look at a couple variations using both models for my film, Reckoning. A year after shooting a notorious outlaw, a young orphan discovers the outlaw is still alive and out for revenge. She must outwit him one last time or spend the rest of her life running in fear. So that works. That was the detailed model from Blake's book. Let's do a more simplified version using who, or just focusing on who, goal, and obstacle. A young orphan discovers a notorious outlaw she thought to have killed is still alive and now seeks revenge. That's it. That's the entire story in a title in a single sentence. And it tells it at a very basic level, and it tells it well. Action step. You need to craft a title and a logline for your movie. And then pitch it to your friends. Does it catch their interest? Would they want to see the movie that you're describing? And if so, you're on the right track, right? But if not, what's not right? This is where your title and logline can really help you initially. If people don't think that they'd want to see the movie that you're describing, then you could be wasting your time telling the story, or either you didn't craft the right logline, or you don't understand your story enough, and you alone have to figure this out. Then once you have that working title and that working logline, use these as we move forward with theme to run all of your story ideas through. I'll talk about this more later, but I almost made a huge blunder in Reckoning because I wasn't doing that. I failed to pass a story idea through both of these, and fortunately I caught it later, but I realized that, wait a minute, this doesn't align with the story I'm telling. This is not what Rose would do in this given situation. So, all right, have fun with that. Hit up the community. In fact, once you get your title and logline, pitch them in the community. We would love to see what you've got, give feedback, and cheer you on in this movie.